What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Kid Tosh, and today I'm going to be going over my Eastern Conference predictions for the 2016-17 NBA season. I was going to do a video like this eventually, I just didn't know when, but it seems appropriate now because most of the destinations of all the free agents and all that stuff has already been decided, so I have a pretty clear look at what's going to happen, or what I think is going to happen in this next coming season. I'm going to do an Eastern Conference video, I'm going to do a Western Conference videos. I like these NBA videos when I'm playing Park, so let's start off with the bottom. I'm going to build this bottom to top just so it's more exciting. So, the 15th seed, the worst team, I think, is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are so empty. I mean, they have no picks for the next couple of years, and they just have no future in that short-term time. Obviously, after those couple years, they will have some pieces, but it just doesn't look good for the future. They have no assets right now. Their best players are Jeremy Lin and Brook Lopez, but besides that, they really don't have anyone. At 14, yes, I'm not putting Philly at the bottom. We're going to go with Philly at 14, so a little bit better than last year. They have Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid is finally healthy, and they actually have a tandem of front court players that they can use now, and they really have a team. I mean, the last couple years, it seemed like they were just using D-League players for most of their placeholders so that they could have a full squad. But now it looks like they actually have some pieces that will make good for the future of the franchise. Ben Simmons is a good player. He's going to be a good player. Joel Embiid, I think he'll be a good player as well. So there is some hope there, but they just don't have any backcourt depth. They have a lot of veterans that would fill out benches on other teams that are starting. So Jared Bayless and Gerald Henderson look like they're starting backcourt, which is usually, that's not a very good backcourt at all. So that's going to be holding them back along with their reserves. At 13, I'm going with the Orlando Magic. The Magic made a bad trade, in my opinion, getting Serge Ibaka. I just don't think they have the pieces at all to be getting a player like that. Serge Ibaka is a good player to play along with good players. I mean, he's really a role player on a good team. That's really what he does, and this isn't a good team. I guess they're looking for him to be the best player on this team, but they don't have the guys right now. Elfrid Payton is not developed as a good point guard yet. Nikola Vucevic doesn't play a lot of defense. He plays offense. They just don't have the squad together yet, and I don't like that trade, getting rid of Oladipo. I think it just sets them back, especially because the East is going to be better this year than it's been in a long time, and I'm going to go over that. Number 12 might be a little bit of a surprise. I've got Miami at number 12, and obviously you might know why they're lower than the 3 seed they were last year, but 9 spots lower? Is this really necessary? Well, I think it is, because the Miami Heat lost not just Dwayne Wade, their franchise centerpiece, but we don't know if Chris Bosh is going to even play next season, and that's the huge question mark here. Obviously, if he is, I'll rate them higher, but I'm going with the unfortunate prospect that he's not going to play next year. That's just how I'm ranking this list, because I don't see it happening. At least I don't know if he's going to be very healthy the whole year. Alongside this, they lost Joe Johnson and Luol Deng, so 2 front court guys, or two forwards that they wanted, and they don't have anymore. Their bench isn't really filled out. They have a lot of young guys, which is good, but they're just not ready to play in the playoffs right now. At 11, I'm going to go with the Washington Wizards. The Wizards lost a bunch of players. They lost Nene, but they really never had a squad to begin with. They have a superstar point guard in John Wall, but I don't really see much farther than that. Bradley Beal's injury prone. Yes, he can be a good player, but other than that backcourt, they don't have much right now, and that's the bad part about it. They have a couple really good players, but besides that, it just doesn't look very good for Washington, and there's a lot of good teams in this Eastern Conference, so that might be cause for why they're that low. Number 10, I'm going with Milwaukee. I really want to put them higher on this list, but when you look at the other teams, it just doesn't seem right. They weren't very good last year, and I don't really know why. It just didn't work out. They picked up Matthew Dellavedova, but I just don't think that's enough to put them in the playoffs. They're going to be close. They're going to be better than last year because Giannis is still developing into a star player. He's amazing. And you got to think that a lot of their young guys are going to get better, but it just doesn't look like they're ready to be in the playoffs right now either. I think they just need more to their bench. And that Greg Monroe thing didn't really work out last year. It made their defense a lot worse than it was. I don't know if it was just him, but their defense just wasn't as good. That's the point. The Atlanta Hawks is on my 9th seed. I'm sorry. I didn't see how this would work. Dwight Howard makes them worse as opposed to Al Horford. Yes, they could be as good, with Jeff Teague, but without Jeff Teague, I mean Dennis Schroeder, because I like Dennis Schroeder, but Kyle Korver's getting up there in age, and they lost DeMar Carroll a couple years ago. Yeah, that set him back, and Kent Bazemore, I don't know if he's ready to fill that role, but it's hard to say because there's a lot of other good teams. At 8, I have New York. Yes, New York is 8. I couldn't put them higher because there are just a lot of teams up here that don't have question marks like the New York Knicks. We just don't know how they're going to be. Yes, they'll make the playoffs, I think, but barely. I don't see that being a perfect fit with Derrick Rose, Carmelo Anthony, and the Knicks. At 7, I have the Charlotte Hornets because they performed great last season. Kemba Walker is still getting better. They lost Al Jefferson, and they got Marvin Williams back and Nick Batum back. So they lost Courtney Lee too, but they lost a couple guys. They got a couple guys back. They're not going to be as good as they were last year, but they're still going to be in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, I think. At 6, I have the Indiana Pacers. Yes, they're going to be a little better, but I don't see them being that much better. The George Hill trade, it doesn't really make all that much sense to me, just considering George Hill's a better defensive player than Jeff Teague was, and that's a defensive reliant team. They traded for Thaddeus Young, which is good, but they just don't have that much else. Paul George is a superstar player, we know, but I don't know how much help he has around him that's going to actually help them win games. 5th, I have Chicago. Yes, this might be a little high, but I do think Chicago has enough talent to be this good. I think they can make it work with those 3 ball dominant and non-shooting guards. Some of them will shoot a couple threes next season, but the point is they have a lot of talent and they have guys that know how to win, and I think that they can win a lot of games this year, just not enough to get into the top 4 seeds. At 4, I have the Detroit Pistons. Yes, I have them making a big jump. I think this is going to be one of the great teams in the future. The Detroit Pistons are young, they are full of potential, and they are ready to make a splash, and they had a great offseason as well. Nothing but good things should come from the Detroit Pistons franchise in this future. At number 3, I had the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors, I just don't know if they can keep up what they did last year. I think they'll be good, but the Boston Celtics, who are above them, are just not, they're not worse than the Raptors. They're better. They added in Al Horford. They just look like they're going to perform better. They have a more stacked team. The Raptors, what I see Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, and a bunch of other players that might contribute. I don't think that's enough to be a top 2 seed next year. So obviously at number 2, I have the Celtics, and when I have the Cavs, it's a no-brainer to put the Cavs at first. LeBron is the best player in the NBA right now, and Kyrie Irving is the best supporting player in the NBA right now, as you guys know. I think Kyrie Irving is going to have one unreal season next season. I think that LeBron James is going to be great again. He might just win MVP, and they will win more than 60 games, I think. I think they have the formula. They know how to win a lot of games now. Obviously, I didn't talk about the Celtics that much. The Celtics are my second, and this is how I have it, this Eastern Conference ranked. I can't tell you. I don't know how accurate this is going to be, but this is my official list. The Celtics are stacked, in my opinion. Along with the Cavs, those are the 2 teams of the East that I can legitimately say are stacked. The Celtics have a star point guard, Isaiah Thomas. They've got an all defensive first teamer, Avery Bradley. They got a star in Al Horford. They got a 2-way player that's very good in Jay Crowder. That's enough. They got good bench players, young players. They're going to be good for a long time. And the Celtics and the Cavs, I look as really the 2 dominant forces in the East next season. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is my Eastern Conference prediction for the next season. I'm coming out with the Western Conference one soon. Please like if you enjoyed. Comment suggestions for me in the comment section. And subscribe. I'm out. Peace.